All right, we are back here in Kenosha, and as I said before, Kenosha County went for Donald Trump in the presidential election by 237 votes, less than the amount of people in this room. We're going to introduce you now to some folks who voted for Donald Trump. I want to introduce you to Richard Beiser, who backed Barack Obama in 2008, voted for Democrats' down ticket. Jamie Sabena, she's a divorced mom of two. She's holding down multiple jobs. She believes that Trump will bring back jobs. Her son backed Bernie Sanders. We have with us Gail Sparks, who is an electronic technician. Her husband is unemployed due to disability. Didn't vote in 2012. Felt it was important to come out and vote in this election for Donald Trump. Matt Augustine, who's a longtime union man and longtime Republican who voted for Donald Trump. And Matt, let me start with you a little bit. You were nodding your head, and the center was too. How... you're a longtime union guy and a longtime Republican, which is not always something that goes together. How important do you think organized labor is to a strong middle class?
The grassroots is important. The leadership in the unions has been lacking, and the grassroots unions are important up to a point. And I think the unions have lost their way over the last 20 years. They don't represent the people like they used to. That's what's changed, but the people are still important.
What does it mean to you when you think about the decline? I mean, I look at this place and I think between the outsourcing that's happened, the jobs that have left, the decline of unions, it's hard to imagine being able to build a place like this today.
It was sad to see the union. I worked at Snap-on for 30 years. They closed the plant here and they moved to Milwaukee, and I didn't go. 30 years is enough. And it was sad to see the jobs go. I lived in Kenosha my whole life. So.
Richard, you voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary here in Wisconsin. You voted for Donald Trump in the primary, but you said you voted down ticket for Democrats on Election Day.
Yes, I did.
And you're generally a Democratic voter.
Yes, I am.
But this time you voted for Trump. Why'd you vote for Donald Trump?
Basically because he wasn't Hillary.
Have people heard that a lot among people they've talked to?
Yes.
Yep. Would you have supported Senator Sanders if he was the nominee?
Yes, I would have.
What do you think of that, Senator Sanders?
Well, I appreciate it.
Well, that's not...
But, Chris, as you know, we won Kenosha pretty handily, and we won the state of Wisconsin in the primary. And I think the message that we brought forth is that it is time to create an economy that works for all of us and not just the 1%. It's time to support organized labor and make it easier for workers to get into unions. It is time, and I'd like to raise this issue, maybe we can get into it in a moment. We are the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people as a right. How many people think we should move in that direction?
Let me ask you folks up there, Jamie, is that when you think about your voting, Senator Sanders talking about guaranteeing health care, is that something as a right, is that the sort of thing that you're interested in?
Okay, that's great, but how are we going to pay for that? And how is it... Right now, if you try to go online and look for insurance, it is a massive disaster. You could spend 2 hours on there and you have no idea what to look for.
Right.
Also, me, being as what I do for a living, I'm lucky, I'm quite healthy. I'm looking at insurance premiums that were $300, $400 a month and a $10,000 deductible. That's ridiculous. How can someone afford that?
That's right.
Gail, you expressed frustration with the way things are going, and you're someone who wasn't psyched about either candidate in 2012, but felt strongly about coming out this time around. What changed?
It was the fact that it seemed as though, number one, I think the country needs a bit of a change. They have put a lot of Republicans, Democrats, professional politicians in that office. Trump seemed more of him being the businessman. What's this country full of? Business or talk?
What do you think about that, Senator? You're someone who's devoted his life to public service.
Well, I think you make a good point. I think what you're really saying is people are sick and tired of establishment politics, right? And they want somebody who says he's going to do something and cut through a lot of the crap.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I understand that. All right. Matt, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I agree. You know, I liked Trump from the beginning because he was open and upfront with everybody, and he talked to the people, pretty much like you did too. And the people that I know, it was either Donald Trump or you on the other end. Nothing in between. They didn't like any of the other candidates, and that's from a grassroots point of view.
You're talking about your union?
Well, just everybody.
Yeah.
No matter who you talk to, they like Donald Trump and they like Bernie because they talk to the people. And we thought everybody else was just giving us a bunch of hogwash. They were just talking over us.
Mm-hmm. Richard, do you think that when we talk about the kinds of jobs that were in, do you see a future in which those come back?
No. No. That day is come and gone. It's the industry in Kenosha is so diversified now, whereas before, when it was just Chrysler, that was just a one-track pony, you know.
Do people feel like things are going to get better in Kenosha?
I'm optimistic enough to think that they are. I hope that they are. I'm pretty sure that they are.
Let me jump in if I could.
Yeah, please,
Chris.
go ahead.
Let me ask you guys a question, and all of you voted for Trump. Question, why has the middle class been in decline for the last 40 years? What do you think? Does that have something to do with corporate greed?
I think it has to somehow I think it has to do with what kind of CEOs are graduating from college and how they care. We had plant managers at Snap-on Tools or the CEOs that actually cared about people. Right. Howard Brown from the Kenosha News cared about the people. The new ones don't. That's a big change that I've seen.
That's a very important.
And it has nothing to do with corporate greed. It's just corporate greedy individuals that are in the wrong position.
Do you think the culture's changed?
The culture's changed a lot.
That's a good point. Other reasons. Why has the middle class been declining, and why do we have so much income and wealth inequality?
Because so many of our jobs are going overseas.
Okay. Do all of you believe that our current trade policies, NAFTA, PNTR with China, have been a disaster for workers?
They're terrible.
Okay.
Exactly.
I thought from the beginning. It all started with GATT. You know that, too. Mm-hmm. GATT should have never been negotiated. It took 30 years to negotiate that behind closed doors. Nobody had a voice in it.
Is there a general consensus here that our trade policies have failed the American worker? No. Yes. Well, I just want everybody to know, you're looking at a guy who voted against every one of these trade agreements. And what was also clear to me is that the guys who wrote these trade agreements wanted very much to have the opportunity to shut down in Kenosha or in Vermont and move to Mexico and move to China where they could pay people very low wages. You didn't need a PhD in economics to figure that one out.
Yeah.
All right. So I gather that all of you would be sympathetic to a major rewrite of our current trade policies, demanding that corporate America start investing in this country and not just in low-wage countries around the world.
Right.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Second question. You got a lot of people, I'm sure in Kenosha, I know in my state of Vermont, who cannot get by on the 10, 11 bucks an hour they're making. Should we raise the minimum wage to a living wage?
No.
All right.
Wait, there's some...
Okay. Let's hear it. Why don't we go just...
I want to hear... If there's dissent, I want to hear it.
Yeah, there
were some no's. What do you think?
Okay. I don't know how you can take someone working at McDonald's and pay them $15 an hour and not expect everything to go up around. Obviously, food's going to have to go up. If you want to pay workers for bagging groceries up to $12, okay, your groceries are going to have to go up. Everything is going to have to go up.
I want you to hold that thought because there is dissent on this, although it's a very popular position. I want to